This week we celebrate the coming of a new year. We've been talking this month about how miraculous life is. That's been the theme. And today's topic is new thoughts for the new year, January 1, 2009. Like many of you, I'm sure I've been spending the last few days getting things in order. The house, after the scurry of activity surrounding Christmas, my online bill pay after the scurry of activity surrounding Christmas. And I always find myself at this time of the year wanting to straighten things. My office, my files, my accounts, sometimes even my shoe stand and my clothes drawers. And this year's one of those. It's a desire to put things in order, to leave the old year with a fresh eye to the future, and with a comfortable feeling that I've moved on, having left things in the past, but not in turmoil. Back in the 1970s, when my three daughters were teenagers, can you believe it? All three of them were teenagers at the same time. I had a cartoon stuck on the refrigerator door that read, "Teenagers, clean up your room, then the world." That saying frequently comes back to me at this time of the year as I'm drawn to closing the books on the year just behind me and setting up new ledgers for the new year. Before I move into newness, I like to set the record straight, so to speak, in my life's book, so that I can be consciously aware of where I am now and where I'm choosing to go. Not because I want to browbeat or punish myself, it doesn't have anything to do with that, but because I want the sweetness of realization as I move forward and upward in my life's journey. The feeling that I have grown, that I am growing, and that there's always something more for me to experience. Once, when asked to explain his message to the world in 25 words or less, Mahatma Gandhi said, "I am my message." Those words speak volumes, I think, in terms of living our lives as we would like to see the world reflected back to us. It does, after all, begin with and in each one of us individually. So, like the proverbial teenager, or perhaps unlike them, I find great satisfaction in cleaning up my own room before I go out to change the world. And though I don't always follow through on that the entire year, I'm always drawn to it as the new year approaches. Once my stacks of papers, books, files, and notes have found their way into shelves, cabinets, the trash can, or the shredder, then I can put my thoughts and my energies into the enhancement of harmony, balance, and order in my physical, emotional, and spiritual affairs. The power of the one mind, operating as my mind, takes me on a fantastic journey that I'd like to share with you today. The power of the one mind, operating as your mind, can take you on a fantastic journey whenever you choose. For our minds, individualized as each one of us, can look back and reflect on what has been our activities, our thoughts, our experiences, our results. Our mind can look at the present and interact with it right here and now. And our marvelous minds can also imagine the future. So let's begin, first of all, by reflecting on the past as a way to decide what we want to keep in our hearts and minds, in our memories, and what we choose to release and be shedded. Are there situations, for example, in your life that you keep trying to deny or ignore? Have you noticed that they don't heal or improve, even though you keep trying? And actually denying them or ignoring them doesn't necessarily heal them either, does it? So what to do in such cases? Try this. Try claiming ownership of the situation. We call that acknowledging it for what it is. Rather than denying it, name it. Claim it. Recognize its present existence. Now, you can also claim power over it. You have to recognize it in order to claim power over it. Now you can choose to deal with it or release it, because you are now in the driver's seat. Either way, you have the power. Are there some memories in your heart or your mind that make you uncomfortable whenever they surface? You know, things like, oh boy, did I make a mess of that? Or, I just can't make this work. Well, know that the experiences we learn from are not only our successes, but also what appear to be failures. The experience of failing at something doesn't mean that we ourselves are failures. It means that we had an experience of failing, and in so doing, had the chance to learn something. So let go of the branding iron marked failure, find the message in the experience, and forget about it. Let it go. Try something new. The third reflection on the past that I'd like to address this morning goes like this. Sometimes we really get the message that there is something specific we need to do, to say, or to have. We understand that message loud and clear, and we don't do a doggone thing about it. Well, you know what? That's okay. It's okay. If you go to the edge of the cliff and decide not to jump off today, it's okay. Sometimes in our exuberance of this philosophy, we come to believe that there's only one speed, and that's at a full run. Well, it's okay if you choose to put on the brakes occasionally, to pass on moving into the next level yet. Because only you know when you are ready to take the next step, that leap of faith as it's sometimes called. And when the time is right, you'll do it. It's already in you. It's just moving through it. Now, granted, not all reflections on the past have such serious overtones. Many of our memories are sweet. They're rich, they're fulfilling and happy. So these are the ones that we keep and savor. These are the ones we can recall at will and relive in our hearts with joy and gladness, bring into the present moment. The others, it may be time to let go of them. And here's a way to do that. We call it the burning bowl. The core of Ernest Holmes' message in the philosophy of the science of mind is come fully present to the moment, for this is the only moment there is. So now I'd like to talk about interacting with the present, this glorious now moment when your entire consciousness of being is focused as keenly as a laser. I've mentioned Kathy Lee Crosby's book, Let the Magic Begin, to you before. In it, she writes, the gift is to live every day, paying attention to the incidences of our lives, following them and learning from them, so that we can bring them more and more fully into our life. I hear in that statement a call to be fully present, fully awake, fully participative in everything that's going on in my life. Gerald Jamplowski says it this way: to be fully alive, to be forever be a student, to have an unquenchable thirst for its knowledge and wonder, is to be connected in life. And as if those two celebrities aren't enough, none other than the famous Nike puts it this way: just do it. You know, Divine Spirit is always working on an invisible plane to help us awaken and bring into our lives the very best, the very highest good. Life is so much easier when we pay attention to that reality. In quantum physics, they've discovered a form of matter in the universe that exists when we put our attention on it and disappears when we don't. Well, in many ways, God is that way too. God is what is, not what isn't. Putting our full attention on this omnipotent presence brings it fully alive in our consciousness and in the activities of our lives. So as you move into this new year, 2019, gift yourself with the wonder of being fully present in every moment of your life. And you'll know the joy of being in the divine presence as well. Well, so far this morning we've reflected on the past and we've interacted with the present. The third thing I'd like to offer you in the waning hours of 2018 is to imagine the future. Well, it goes without saying, you all know that I have always been a devoted fan of the Walt Disney dream. Anybody seen Mary Poppins Returns? It's still down at Waikoloa Cinemas. I've seen it twice already, and I may go back a third time. There is so much to see and to absorb in Disney movies. And though Walt is no longer with us here in this plane of existence, and the environment of his parks have changed somewhat over the years, Walt Disney made his own dreams come true. And in so doing, created dreams for millions of children of all ages. It wasn't hype when Disney said, "A dream is a wish your heart makes." It was a recognition that what we desire in life is not only a thought, but it's a heartfelt desire. I've always been captivated by the fact that the people who work in the creative departments at Walt Disney's studios, Disneyland and Disney World, are called Imagineers. And though I've never worked there, I consider myself worthy of being considered an Imagineer. Don't you? Because we know, don't we, that if we can imagine something, we can create it in our lives. We can make our dream come true by aligning ourselves with the unlimited resources of the universe, which at least equal, if not exceed, the resources of the Disney empire. As a matter of fact, I don't know whether you're aware of it or not, but Disney now owns ABC Network on television. Through spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, we bring specificity and structure to our dream, just as an engineer brings specificity and structure to what he or she builds. From the dawn of recorded history, humankind has progressed relentlessly through imagination and faith. Imagination that sees and tracks the dream. Faith that the mind which can conceive can also achieve. When I first became a minister, I had the opportunity to bring specificity and structure to my dream, and I'd like to share that with you now. I attended a week-long seminar supported by the Christ Church of Co-Creation in Portland, Oregon. This church was an independent New Thought church whose mission was to minister to ministers. So during the Sacred Days seminar that I attended, we were given the opportunity to develop a sacred covenant for our individual ministries, an opportunity to be Imagineers. It was during this experience that I became fully aware of the importance of peace in my ministry. I found a quote from Ernest Holmes that became a guiding light for me. It said, "A realization of our oneness with omnipresence brings peace. The peace which is accompanied by a consciousness of power." And one of my favorite quotes came from who else? Peace Pilgrim, who said, "If you want to make peace, you must be peaceful." And so the vision of my personal ministry as I was preparing for an active ministry in a spiritual center was to reveal wholeness by teaching truth and by practicing peace. That's been my mission from the day I accepted a pastorship, not only to practice peace, but to teach it as well. This center is a safe haven for all who come here, and that's by intention, not by coincidence. 18 years ago, I envisioned a ministry which embraced peace. Now it's an existing ministry, and my focus continues to be revealing wholeness by teaching truth and practicing peace. Peace within each individual, and peace which moves out into a world that desperately cries for a loving, supportive environment in which spiritual awareness can grow and prosper. Imagination sees and tracks the dream. Faith knows the mind which can conceive can also achieve. Some of you have, in the past, have heard me refer to Scott Kalekstein's song. And when I was at the Religious Science Center in San Diego, Scott did a Sunday service for me. At that time, he was doing workshops and Sunday services in New Thought churches all over the country. And this was a song that he sang frequently. You might call it a signature song for him, even though he didn't write it. In fact, the words, he told me, go back to Confucius. And here they are, with my best wishes for you in the new year. When there's light in the soul, there is beauty in the person. When there is beauty in the person, there is harmony in the home. When there's harmony in the home, there is order in the nation. When there's order in the nation, there is peace in the world. Through the power of one, there is light in every soul. Let your thoughts in the new year be always on light, beauty, harmony, and peace. Let the power of one shine through you, for you are the light of the world. And so it is.